If you're a movie nerd, then chances are when you watch these clips, you know exactly who directed these films. So the question is, how do directors come up with their signature look? Well, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, make yourself a cup of coffee, and let's dig in. Hey, what's up? Qazi here. In this video, we'll start by breaking down the grades of some of your favorite directors, and then we'll jump into Resolve and I'll show you how you can create some of those looks. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and make sure to hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we drop new content. And on that note, let's roll the intro. So let's start off by looking at what determines the look. I'm breaking it into three different sections, okay? Genre, time frame, and setting. Let's further break those down. So in genres, you can have action, horror, drama, comedy, crime, romance, and the list goes on. For time frame, we're talking about, is it set in past, present, or future? Okay? And then setting will be, is it a fantasy or reality? Now, each variable can change the entire look and feel of the movie, okay? Because something could be like Westworld, which is sort of like a Western, but in the future. So that's a completely different look than, say, something like Blade Runner. So now, let's jump into our first director. So we're gonna start off with David Fincher. He's known for crime drama, murder mystery, and psychological thrillers. He's very selective with his color palette, and most of the time he's using desaturated or muted tones with a hint of yellowish green tint, and majority of his looks are built around analogous color schemes. So the first shot that we're looking at is from Fight Club, and all those things that I just said are true here. This is a psychological thriller, and he chose to go with this crazy green tint in the entire film, and it's not ridiculously over the top like Matrix, and plus, like, you can see the skin tones, they're looking proper, and that's always the trick to sell any look, right? As long as that looks fine, I'm buying everything else. So when we look at the scopes, it tells us everything that we need to know. In the vector scope, we see that the image is kind of muted, because if we pump in saturation, you'll see like how it extends. But that's not what's happening here. The other thing that we see is the colors are next to each other, so they're using analogous color scheme, right? If this was a complementary color scheme, the colors would be going across. That's not what's happening here. And if it was a monochromatic color scheme, the colors would be just shooting straight, not dispersed like this. And then in this scope, really gets to tell us the entire color story right here. So under waveform, you can click on this menu right here and then select wide channel only and turn on colorize. And it's one of my favorite scopes when it comes to doing look recreations or just analyzing looks. So try it. Amazing. Next up is The Social Network. And if you watch the movie, then you know that there was a lot of shady stuff happening in this film, especially that Zuckerberg was involved in. So I'm not going to throw any spoilers out there, but keeping that in mind, Fincher went with tons and tons of yellow tones in this film, and yellow is a color of deceit, which again fits perfectly with this theme. Now, moving on to the next one, we have The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and this is a murder mystery, so gray is a great choice to go with anything that's related to murder, because if it's not black or white, it's gray, right? So it's somewhere in the middle, and that's what creates this intrigue. So throughout this entire film, like, there's a lot of like use of these really subtle like gray tones with just a hint of like green, like the thing that he's got going on. But honestly, to me, this is more like a monochromatic grade than an analogous color scheme, right? I don't really see any other colors than just this one shade of gray. Another thing that we can do now, after understanding and picking up on like what was happening here, is that let's just say if we want to mimic sort of like Fight Club here, we can go under my gamma and gain, and we can just move it down to something like this. And now if I go back here and then move forward here, you can clearly see what we just did. And if we want to clean up our whites, we can keep our whites Just add a little bit of green, but just leave them there. And now if we go back, like you can see how close we got just by 2 quick moves, and we kind of got that essence down. That's why it's really important to analyze references like these and break them down, so then when it comes to creating them, you don't look at it and go, this is rocket science. I can't do this. This was done in Hollywood. Like, how can anybody do it? Like, you can create really cool images. Like, there's a lot of color science and jiggery pokery involved to create these epic looks, but you can get close enough results. Moving on to Gone Girl. This is a supposed murder mystery, but then you find out it's not that. So to throw you off, again, he went with tons of desaturated, like muted tones throughout this film. So there is a little bit more color, because if we look at this to that, there's definitely some color here, but at the same time, it is very, very muted, because if I were to go in and add some saturation, that would be closer to, like, say, Rec 709 or something like that. Or more importantly, if I go under my gamma and gain, and if I start going up and add some warmth, like even if we end up with something like that, all of a sudden we went from like this murder mystery genre to, like, say, romance, right? Just like that, just by doing 2 quick things. And again, guys, like, once you start picking up on these patterns, it will be so much fun to just watch content. Like, for me, one of my favorite things to do is watch content that I know inside out. If I know the story, I know exactly what happens. I love watching those shows and movies, because then I don't get distracted and I can really use it as a case study. So try it, and you'll be blown away with, like, the kind of nuggets you're going to pick up. So when we compare all the images that we just analyzed, what we see is that, yes, there are different colors used to tell a specific story, but as a whole, it does have that Fincher signature look. All of these are either analogous or monochromatic color schemes, and even the contrast in all of them is very similar. So these are the characteristics that makes a director's signature look. So that's it for Fincher. But before we move on to Tarantino, if you're enjoying the content, do me a favor, smash the like button so we can reach more filmmakers like yourself. And that said, let's move on to Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino is known for over-the-top, in-your-face crime stories. One of the most entertaining directors, period. His looks are punchy, saturated, gritty, and most of the time he uses a complementary color scheme. So let's jump right in. We're gonna start off with Pulp Fiction, and just look at this image compared to Fincher's image. That's Fincher's last image that we saw, and now here is Tarantino. So look at the difference. A lot of his looks are maxed out. Like, you'll see, like, they'll be hitting the top and the bottom, and they just, like, again, pop, right? Like, they hit you in the face. And then he uses a lot of primary colors, and primary colors are colors that are in your face. And that goes without saying, because his movies are like that. They're in your face. So it's a perfect marriage. And you will see that, what I'm talking about, when we go to the next frame and then the next frame. But just look at how much saturation is in our image, because if we're coming from, like, Fincher's school, we would just take that saturation and crank it down to something like that, and we're still conveying a similar message, right? Like, there's a lot of red in there. Red is the color of danger, death, war, all of that stuff, right? So, like, we get to see that, and it's, like, muted, and it has, like, a different vibe. All of a sudden, it's not so much in your face. It's more like a mystery, right? But when you remove that, this is all of a sudden like a vengeance, to the max. Like, shit is going to go down, all hell break loose, bad things are going to happen, right? So, I mean, that is the power of color grading, guys. Like, it's not just this or that. There's a lot of people that are just like, this is too saturated, this is no good. But then you see Tarantino do this and nobody says anything, right? Like, it looks great because the story, it just went perfectly with it. So before you guys just jump on hating on somebody's grade or something like that, I will always encourage you to have a dialogue and try to understand what was really going on. Now, if there's technical issues, like if the key is bad or there's tons of banding or artifacting, then that's a different story. Like help that person out and just be like, hey, dude, why don't you do this or that or the other thing than what you're doing, because it's not really working. But when it comes to the subjective, the character of your look, it is 100% determined by what is the story. And let's move on to Kill Bill and look at the colors again. So you got the reds, you got the greens. I mean, primary colors to the freaking max, right? And then again, look at the scopes, like what's happening. Everything is clipping. The sky is gone. Like, I mean, there is no BS, like clouds in the sky, like sky replacement, this, that. Like, it's just boom, like punches you again in your freaking mouth, right? Like, just look at that. If we just go to that Fincher world, we would do something like that. We would go in our gain and probably pull it down, but we can't even do that because it's just clipped up top. So I don't even have anything. I mean, I guess I can take my gamma and pull it down a little bit, right? And be somewhere around here. But that's what's happening in Tarantino's world. And this movie, it is a crime/action film. I mean, anybody who's seen Kill Bill is the definition of like, boom, you getting smacked in the mouth. And then that's what he's doing with colors as well. Moving on to the next shot, another shot from Kill Bill. And guys, just look at this. Red, green, blue. I mean, I'm telling you, right? So it's just primary colors in your face, saturated to like no point of return. Like, I mean, look at this. Gone, right? Love it. I wouldn't change a thing. I love it. But again, somebody will see something like this and be like, what are you doing? This looks terrible. Like, pull it down. Like, you pull it down and you bring it right here and it's not Kill Bill anymore. It's not the same, right? So you got to commit. You got to develop that taste. You got to see things like that that are so out of the box that when you're grading, without even thinking about it, you come up with like really extreme looks. And this is how it happens. Moving on to Django. So this is where we see a complementary scheme going on right here. Tons and tons of colors, right? Like the outfit is so colorful. There's green that's like exaggerated in the back. Like, I mean, the dirt behind him, like everything just kind of pops. It lit with tungsten lights, right? So like even on the cigarette filter or whatever it is, like you can see like it's not super white. Like it's not a clean white. Like it has a lot of yellow in there. And if we were to clean it up, we would go in our gain and then we would just kind of pull that down, right? Like, so we will clean it up to something like that. And if I do before and after, right? Like the smoke behind him is getting cleaner. And then even the cigarette is getting a little bit cleaner. But again, that's not the look, right? That's not what they're going for. And if we take the saturation and if I pull that down, once again, going back to our Fincher school, it would be something like that. And then Fincher will maybe add a little bit more green into his shot, right? Like, I mean, I'm just making that up. But like, that's more like what Fincher would do. Maybe pull the saturation down even more. Something like that. And then we'll go from like this to this, like Tarantino versus Fincher, right? That kind of thing. So important to understand that. What's the genre? What's the story? Who are you working with? What's their style? What are they going for? And then you have to do that. You can't just do what is supposedly right. Now let's bring up all 4 looks by Tarantino and just look at it in a quad formation and just look at it. Like the colors are bursting out of the freaking vector scope and it looks delicious, right? Like as a whole, when you look at his portfolio, if you will, that's Tarantino. That's what makes him what he does and who he is and why we love him. Now let's move on to Denis Villeneuve. So unlike Tarantino and Fincher, I personally feel like Denis Villeneuve is pretty diverse. He has done crime dramas, fantasy, sci-fi, action, and the list goes on. So because of his genres, his style is also versatile. But I feel like his go-to look has this soft contrast, muted colors, and majority of the time he's using monochromatic color scheme. So let's start off with this shot from Sicario, which obviously is not using monochromatic color scheme. It's using complementary color scheme right here, as we can see. but you can still feel that the image is muted, right? And then look at where the exposure is sitting. When was the last time you've seen a movie where the sunset looked like that? It just doesn't happen, right? Like it would be a lot brighter than that. There would be a moonlight and like all of that. Moving on to the next shot, again from Sicario, there's a hint of a complementary colors, right? Because we got this green with these yellows, but it's not really committing to it, right? Like, I mean, it's not Joker complementary colors. It's not like pushed like that. Obviously, I'm doing a terrible job because I'm just cranking my saturation, but I'm trying to make a point that Joker would have like that, right? Like it would be stretched out. Whereas here, again, it's a very fresh look on complementary color scheme. Contrast, like I said, is very gentle, right? Like, I mean, just look at like the lamp or the light fixture in the back. It just, nothing pokes you in the eye, right? Like everything just kind of, it's just so soft. Like the roll-offs are just out of control. And that's his entire vibe. Now we're moving on to Dune, which is sci-fi, a fantasy film, right? Compared to something that's set in reality. So here, this is a flashback sequence. So he's using tons of color, and this is a monochromatic color scheme that he's using. So this is basically all you got. That's the main color, and you can see it right here in your color palette. Dune, the entire film, just gave me a feeling like I'm watching a high-end cologne commercial, right? In a great way. So what Denis is doing in this film is that he is creating different worlds by the color palette. So we got a flashback sequence that's really over the top, which kind of makes sense. And then we have this, like that, this island, like, you know, just normal tones, a little bit on the cooler side, it's cold. And then here feels like a muted version of like Martian, right? If you will. Because I mean, if you just like pump in, like if we just go in with our, again, gamma and gain and start like really cranking it up and kind of pushing it, we can create like a really, really nice warm look that would be natural. Like it won't be over the top, and it would look really cool, right? But that's just a completely different vibe. And then he created this lifeless, muted, it's printed on a piece of paper, like, right? This is what it feels like, a high-end magazine that I'm flipping through. Now moving on to Chef's Kiss, Blade Runner. Look at where it sits on the waveform, how everything is breathing, right? Like it right in the middle. And then they're using a monochromatic color scheme. The thing that I love about Denis is that there are times when he will let go and use a lot of color, like we saw right here. And then now we're seeing it here. Moving on to Arrival, and completely opposite of this, right? Like, I mean, just look at the vector scope right here to here, completely opposite. If we were to go in there, right? And if I want to just pull that blue out and just make it sort of like what it would look like at night. And if I just do this, all of a sudden the whole impact is gone, right? Like it just took out the entire impact, the voice. It just took away the voice, right? But then this, it takes you there, right? Like it's a mystery. You don't know what's really going on, and it like kind of just grabs you and keeps you in that world. You can't pull out of it. And now that's also from Arrival. A good example of a complementary color scheme that is sort of muted, right? And especially muted on the cooler end, because when we see the warmth, there is a really nice amount of saturation there. But then here, it's a lot cooler. So Tarantino had a very specific style, right? Like that was his look. Same thing with Fincher, very much like his look. When you look at this, it's so amazing that it could be 5 different directors. And I love that. I absolutely love that, because every frame on its own could be a cover of the most expensive magazine you can ever buy. But collectively, when you look at it, it does have a magic. It does go together. Like this goes together, right? Because again, flashback sequence and then different worlds. Blade Runner, this dystopian, like futuristic situation we got going on. And then Arrival, it plays off on that a girl with a dragon tattoo type of thing, like where it's kind of a mystery. What's really going on? Like, are the aliens here to like kill us? Are they going to leave us alone? It's sort of like this lifelessness, this helplessness, like that you feel and then it's just told through color. All right, so time to apply what we learned. So I'm going to go ahead and create a few nodes, something like this. And then the first node, we're going to drop a color space transform, and we're going to select red white gamut, and then I'm going to select red log 3G10, and we're going to select DaVinci white gamut here and DaVinci intermediate here. Okay, so basically what that's going to do is that everything afterwards is going to be using DaVinci white gamut. Okay, and then finally in here, I'm just going to copy this, but then change the parameters. So we're going to put DaVinci white gamut here, DaVinci white gamut here, and we're going to put Rec 709 in the color space output, and then we're going to put output gamma to gamma 2.4. And then once we do that, now we have a proper conversion, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so this is log, this is Rec 709. We're sitting at Rec 709, and that's where we are as of now. Tons of color, sort of like a Tarantino thing going on, and that's what we're going to do exactly. We're going to start with Tarantino's look. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to start adding contrast. I'm just going to take my contrast slider and start cranking it up, and now kind of pull it down somewhere like that, and then keep cranking it. Pull it down a little bit, something like this, and keep it somewhere around here. And if I do before and after, it has a lot of punch, and I do like that. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here, and I want to take this cyan and kind of turn it into a primary color. So I want to move it either to green or blue. Okay, so I'm going to go right here under hue versus hue. And what we're going to do is we're going to start messing with our cyan, and let's see what's happening. So now the blue is coming in. So I like that. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to take my green and pull it down too a little bit. And I'm going to do the same with my blue, although I don't need to. So this is looking pretty good. Okay. And what I want to make sure is that I want to go under my hue versus saturation. I want to take my red and pull it down a little bit because I want it to have information. I don't want it to just completely blow out. So see, like by doing that, I'm bringing actually more information in my cup right here. So I'm going to keep it somewhere around here. This looks good. Okay. And look at the colors. I mean, we're very close to like what we saw in Tarantino's work, right? What I can do here, I can just go under my lift gamma gain and take my mids and kind of pull it down, grab my gain and raise it up, and like take my lift and pull it down and take my gain and pull it up to like really just do that again, right? Like, I mean, think about what was happening right here, that sort of thing, right? Because I mean, we can just do this, put these two next to each other, and see what we can come up with. And again, guys, not going for a one-to-one match. We're just trying to get some practice in and to understand what's really going on with that. Because obviously, Pulp Fiction was shot on film, and you have to go and select the right film emulation to like really get in there and then try to recreate that grade. But here, my whole intention is to kind of learn and apply. Well, we just saw what we did, and now how can we implement that with the bare bones, like whatever is available inside Resolve, and come up with something really cool. So now one of the things that I'm seeing is that my image has a lot more warmth than what I'm seeing here. So what I want to do is I want to go in here and just add +1 magenta in my offset. So I'm going to do that. And I like what it did. And now what I want to do is I want to go and actually I want to go back. I'm sorry. And I want to do -1 yellow. And when I do that, this happens. So now I just want to add a couple of cyans, like something like this. Basically, I'm just looking at what's happening back there, right? And trying to bring that in and then take my reds in here, like what's happening there. And at this point, I kind of like what is happening. I want to take my gamma and I want to kind of pull it down, something like this. I want to take my gain and raise it up. right? I want to take my lift and pull it down. So we're really getting a lot of that color information. What happens if I just go into my saturation and crank it a little bit? Okay. So I feel like this to me is like the look that I want to go for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and create a new page and just throw that look in there. And then that would be our Tarantino look. So the next one that we're going to do is going to be our Fincher look. Okay. And then for that, I'm just going to go in this node right here. And what I really want to do is, first of all, we can just go in this one right here and go back to our hue versus saturation. And what I want to do is I want to pretty much take out any other colors. So that's the whole thing with like Fincher, right? Like get colors really close to that one color, which is like this red right here. And now what I want to do is I want to actually transfer that over here to node number 3. And then in node number 4, I want to pull everything back. So I'm going to go under my saturation and I'm going to pull it back like that. I'm going to take my gamma and gain and I'm going to add a little bit of that green, right? So now if I do before and after, we made all the difference in the world. So here's Tarantino, and then this is sort of like Fincher. Like I kind of like what I'm seeing, right? And again, we can pull up some of the clips, like something like this, and pull this up, not that, and kind of look at the two. And I feel like it kind of just happened, right? It's pretty close to like what we feel here. So I really, really like that. In terms of the contrast and where everything is sitting, I'm actually happy about that too, because he does use, it's not always as crushed as this, right? Like this one is pretty strong, but in here and here, like you can kind of see like we're doing a similar thing, right? So in terms of that, I'll just leave it where it is. And now this version is going to be our Fincher look. Now, before we attack Denis' look, I want to take a second and tell you guys that I'm currently running a special on my masterclass for the 4th of July. So you're getting $300 off until July 6th. And I'm extending the sale by 2 more days because this video was supposed to come out 2 days ago and that didn't happen. So on YouTube exclusively, you guys get 2 additional days to make your decision and purchase the class with the discount. Guys, 211 plus videos, 27 hours of content. I mean, this masterclass is made for content creators, modern day filmmakers. If you've never even heard of grading, I will take you from a beginner to a pro. It's an ultimate step-by-step guide. If you want to learn more about that, like every single module, what's covered, you can see that on the website. So link is going to be in the description. You also become part of the Facebook community where we hold weekly competitions so you can get tailor-made feedback without any additional cost. And there are major discounts on products like Color Lab AI, Dehancer, Film Convert, Shot Deck, Motion VFX, and even on DaVinci Resolve Studio if you're in the United States. Currently, we have over 5,000 students who have worked with F1, Porsche, DJI, Nikon, Adobe, and the list goes on. I'm so confident that I'm throwing in a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, hit me up. You'll get your money back. You have nothing to lose. Once again, you have until July 6th to sign up. Link is going to be in the description. And on that note, let's get to our next look. So now we're going to create Denis' look. And most of his magic comes from this super soft contrast, okay? Meaning we have to go in here and delete this because we can't just like work off of this regular contrast parameter right here. Okay, we have to build our own. So I'm going to use my custom curves right here to build that. And we can pull this down and keep it here now. And it has to be very soft. And majority of the look is going to come from there, okay? And then afterwards, I'm just going to add a little bit of cooler tones. And then that would be the end of that. So more than the color, I just need to work on is contrast curve. So I'm going to go pretty aggressive to like what I'm trying to do, okay? So I'm going to do something like this. And then something like that. Pull this here. His highlights are always very, very soft. So I just want to make sure that that happens. I'm going to grab this and pull it in a little bit. With every grade, guys, just whatever change you're doing, go too far and then pull it back and see what feels right. So I'm going to like really go nuts and then pull it back. So this like feels really good. It's breathing, like it has a lot of room. I kind of like where it's sitting. So I'm going to grab this and maybe pull it up a little bit to something like this. And this, to me, looks pretty good. We can even take a contrast slider now and then kind of mess around with it and see what happens. So even something like that, like really brings it home. Now, like I said, I just want to go under my offset and I'm just going to add a little bit of cooler tones. So even something like this. And then let's bring the saturation back all the way, and now let's pull it back. Do something like this, and then I want to make sure that everything else, like I obviously don't want to do that. I don't want to suppress any colors. So I'm just going to leave that like it is, and then go back in my saturation and pull it down a little bit or crank it up and see where I like it. So even something like this, and I think I don't like this strong green. So what I do want to do is just like turn it into more of a teal or cyan. So even something like this, and then crank the saturation. Actually, I like the saturation where it is. And at this point, once again, I can go back in my curve. And I think I like this more. I want to make sure that it breathes. That's the whole thing about Denis looks. Okay, so that's just the gist of it, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the other two versions and we're going to pull them up in this fashion. And I'm going to get rid of this, or actually leave that open because that actually helps. So now we have our three versions. We have our Denis version right here, which, by the way, we can go back in there. I didn't mean to do that. We can go back in this node and I can try to like crank the saturation up and down to see if I like it a different way. I actually kind of like it desaturated, like somewhere around here. So now that I'm looking at this, I feel like I want to go back in Fincher's version and then kind of just pull back on the saturation a little bit, not too much. Even something like this. And then let's exaggerate the look a little bit. So even something like this, because I feel like now we really get to see what's really going on. And obviously we can bring these two looks up again and look at it. So So I'm basically like looking at the skin tones and just want to make sure the skin stays proper. So that's what I did with my gamma and gain, and then brought in a lot of the green. And now this is our Denis look, and then this is our Tarantino look. And obviously the Tarantino look is just like a bit much now, right? Like just the overall saturation. So we can go in and control it a little bit, but I think I'm going to do it selectively. So I'm just going to go under my red, and I think we already had, yeah, this one right here. So I'm going to pull that down a little bit, like something like this. And then overall, I feel like we can take our gamma, raise the gain up, and keep our gamma somewhere around here, and then overall saturation, and just pull it back. A touch like that. So now if I do all my versions, right? So that is our Tarantino version, like really, really pushed in your face. This is our Fincher version, right? Like has like a really nice film look to it. And then this is our Denis version, which has this futuristic and again, next gen look, like especially when you look at the contrast and how it just feels like it's printed on paper. So these are the looks that we were able to create after doing tons of analysis and research on films by these directors. All right, so there you have it. I want to know who's your favorite director, and if you would like me to do more content based around this topic, drop a comment below. Do not forget to sign up for the masterclass. Take advantage of this opportunity, and remember, work hard, get obsessed, get possessed. I will see you guys in the next video.